Place yourself in the position of Born, a being that managed to break away from its roots with no malicious intent. You're lost, living without reason, yet you still throw yourself forward in an attempt to survive. You endlessly run from an inescapable threat that moves just as you do, attempting to take away the one thing you hold dear, your freedom. You feel like you're the only one being oppressed, as if the entire world is trying to take you down. But what if your simple existence ended up destroying the rest of the world? Would you keep on living?
Yeah, I probably would.
You serious, Cooper? You're just gonna kill the suspense like that? God damn it. I worked hard on that. I'm even staring out the window. It's dramatic. You know, I don't even care. I don't care. Who cares? I don't care. I don't care. I'm just gonna move on. No, I don't even care.
Did I do something wrong?
Nihilumbra is one of those Wii U eShop games that is, in all honesty, probably going to go under the radar. It's been teased for a pretty long time now, and it was released on PC a few years back. Yet I've never really heard anyone talk about it. But that's why I'm here, because this game is up there with some of the eShop greats, and definitely deserves some sort of recognition. In Nihilumbra, you are born. No, seriously, your name is Born. Born is a part of this thing called the Void, a giant purple substance that I think we can safely assume is not a very nice place to be. It's because of this that Born eventually ditches the purple group and sets off on his own adventure to, well, here's the kicker. Born doesn't really know where he's going.
You see, Nihilumbra is all about having a reason for existing and really questioning if we as humans truly deserve our position on Earth. This whole idea is almost like a commentary on how we destroy nature to achieve our own desires, even though we all end up dying at the end. But it's not all depressing, it's also about becoming your own person and breaking away from your origins and the fact that they don't really define who you are. All of this moral mumbo jumbo kind of makes the whole message more memorable, and it acts as a big asset to the game's uniqueness.
Now, as for the actual game, it's pretty much a normal puzzle platformer, which isn't too crazy, but it does have one unique feature. As you move through each environment, you run into these flowers that give you a special colour power that acts as a means to change the environment. You use these by drawing on the Wii U gamepad, and each colour does something different. I won't spoil them all for you, but these colours range from covering the ground with ice, or even making the ground all bouncy with grass, because, you know, that makes sense. The puzzles all utilise this mechanic to their full extent and never really feel like an unneeded gimmick. They all add their own flair to each world and can actually be used in cohesion with each other. This allows for the puzzles to be solved in what at least feels like your own way, giving you that added sense of fulfillment. And of course, the puzzles themselves are all at a pretty high standard, and it's actually one of the few games that uses the whole crate and switch trope pretty well, which is quite the feat. While you're solving these puzzles, you also get time to take in the presentation. This is the type of game where you really need to take your time if you want to get the most out of the experience. Born's animation really define his personality without even saying a piece of dialogue throughout the entire game. The environments all feel like they're straight from a painting as well. I wouldn't say they're up to a Child of Light standard, but they still look pretty good. Now, despite all this, Nihilumbra is still criminally short. Even with me taking my sweet time, it only took me 2.5 hours to finish the actual game. To be fair, you do unlock another mode once you beat it, and there are achievements, but I still feel the story was a bit too short and it could have been a bit longer. Also, the whole 4:3 aspect ratio cutscenes are a bit strange, but I guess that doesn't really matter. So far, I've listed the gameplay aspects that make this game pretty standard fare. But there is one other addition that makes this game above many other puzzle platformers: the narrator. Now, one could argue that the narrator is overly explicit about the game's message, but I kinda think that's the point. You see, the narrator is always made to seem like he's one step ahead of you, telling you constantly that you've got a new colour coming up, something about the enemy, and oh yeah, you shouldn't even exist. You know, the usual. But yes, it's because of this that I always felt like I had something to prove to this nameless guy, and that he alone shouldn't be the one to determine someone's existence. But even so, the narrator even went as far as to actually push my thoughts the other way, making me really question if what Mr. Scarecrow was doing was truly justified. He's consistently there as well, patronising your every action and the reason for why you keep running. In spite of the narrator's constant presence, Nihilumbra is a game designed to make you feel secluded, almost like an outcast. Although the narrator is consistently there throughout your entire journey, he feels distant enough to never really make you feel like you're relying on him. You feel alone, powerless, and without reason, making the entire message of the game that much more powerful.
The thing that makes Nihilumbra's gameplay so distinctive is the whole colour mechanic. All the puzzles are kind of built around this idea of colours and interacting with the environment, and you can really see that in the design, and it's really satisfying just to make up your own solution by drawing on the gamepad. So I'm going to add 3 points for this. Something else that really distinguishes this game from other puzzle platformers is the unique story. Now, I haven't really felt this way about a game's story in a pretty long time, and that's a good thing. And I also feel that this is kind of helped by the narration. I know that this isn't really something completely new, and it won't be anything that'll blow your mind, but I just found it really kind of soothing in a way, and it really pushed you to take your time. You know, seeing the text on the screen as you slowly walk by is a really cool feature, and I'm sure this game wouldn't be as liked as it is, at least for me, without that sort of mechanic. And also, the narration also gives the whole moral message some added substance and some real sort of, you know, it pushes it forward, and I feel that's kind of necessary in what this is trying to achieve. So I'm going to add 2 points to all 3 of these points, if that makes sense. The art style of this game kind of reminded me of Child of Light in a way, but at a smaller budget, and you can kind of see that in a way, but it's still really cool. All of these landscapes and just everything about the game feels like it's been painted and some real care has gone into it. And I also like the animation of Born because, you know, it's, I don't know, you know those sort of black silhouette animations? They're really cool. They're Donkey Kong levels and all that. I'm going off on a tangent. Sorry. Yeah, but just know that animation's good and the landscapes are good. So I'm going to add 1 point to this one, as it won't blow your mind really, but it's still pretty cool. Now, all these points I've listed kind of add to the game's immersion, which really does just pull you into the world, and you really just sort of forget about everything else when you're playing. As, you know, you've got this giant purple thing following you the entire way through, and you really feel the urgency and the distress that Born is currently going through. So I'm going to add 1 point to this one as well. Now, the only bad thing I can really think of is that the game is incredibly short, at least in its main story. Now, I'm not going to minus 3 points for this one, as there are achievements and there's this mode that opens up after you finish, which really does add to the game's length, but I do feel that the story could have been a tad longer, and really it wouldn't really lower the impact of the story. So I'm going to minus 2 points for this. Okay, let's see how Nihilumbra stacks up. So all in all, Nihilumbra is definitely worth the purchase if you're looking for a puzzle platform that's good, or a deep storyline that'll keep you thinking. And personally, I prefer the latter, but you know, if you're interested in either one or both, then you're going to be happy here, even though it isn't the longest game. Yeah, now that I've finished it, I guess I should go into Void Mode.
No! Please, don't do it. I'm still recovering from my attempt, and I don't want to have to deal with a pissed off Fletch.
Why should I listen to you, Cooper? I'm just gonna try it for myself.
No, you don't get it, please. It's really, really hard.
I'm sure it isn't that bad, Cooper. Anyway, what's the worst that could happen?
12 seconds later.
No! I'm done! I'm gonna snap this, alright, Cooper? I'm gonna snap.
Okay, calm down now, Fletch. It's just 56th try. It's okay. It's okay.
Good? Okay, yeah. Probably overreacting, I'm just... Take it easy. No, I'm gonna put the game back
Yeah,
down.
go ahead. I'm not stopping you.
I feel better.
Oh,
better.
really? Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna rip out my spine and shove it up my eyes.
Wait, what?